Right, so you should have an H1 element, H1 ID equals title, survey form, closing H1, P element, ID equals description, survey form, P element, form, ID equals survey form, inverted comma, closing the form, input type equals text, ID equals name, and it says you should have an H1, your title should be not be empty, you should have a P element with an ID of description, your description should not be empty, you should have a form element with an ID of survey form, you should have an input element with an ID of name, so input type equals text, ID equals name, your name should have a type of text, so input type equals text, your name should require input, so you put required. Your name should be a descendant of a survey form, they have not worked that out yet. You should have an input element with an ID of email, so input type equals email, ID equals email, and it's required. Your email should require input, right? So your email should be a descendant. I still don't know if I've worked that out. You should have an input element with an ID of number, so input ID equals number. Your survey number, your number should be a descendant of the survey form. Your number should have a type of number, so input type equals inverted comma number.
I just found out about poor old Muscles and Giggles business. Now I see the traction there. I understand why you copped off with him. But seriously, after a few beers, he could probably turn me. But Phil, what's it got to do with you who are married?
Your number should be a type of number. They got that. Your number should have a minimum attribute with a numerical value. Minimum equals.
Get out, alright? We're getting married today. I'm not having any Alfie Moon madness spoil it. Do you hear me? So get out of my sight before I ruin my dress with your claret. I've missed this. You got a death wish or something?
Oh fuck, he's back.
My brown-eyed handsome man. Hey, Will. I'm not a murderer.
Your number should have a minimum attribute with a numerical value. Your number should have a maximum attribute. Oh, man. So. Yeah.
Do you like hospital food? Just leave it. Yeah, I'll leave in the ground looking up. That's what I need. Just talk about it. No, I don't want to talk about it, right? I want my money back. I want you out of here. Otherwise, this wedding is going to turn into your funeral. Right, that's enough. Okay? You got your money back.
You should have a label element, so we've got that with an ID email label. So ID equals email label.
Than me, because if it was Sharon turning up here trying to save the day, I'd have taken her head clean off. Alfie? What are you doing here? Cat?
So the label element with an ID of name and label.
Situation than this. Right, just go and I'll see you at the altar.
Name, a label.
Please.
Your number should have a right. You should have a name label. Got that. You should have a label element with an ID of email label. Right, so there's another label. Closing label. And an ID equals email label.
Don't you tell me what's right and wrong. When you haven't done right by me in a long time. And you listen to me. I love him and he loves me. And this is my life now. I'll tell the boys you had to leave. Because you ain't gonna let down. Again. I can have 5 minutes, so let me have them with the boys. I haven't got 5 minutes, Alfie. Not for you. Not for anyone. Now go.